Hi guys, Sam from Warpgate Studios. Hope you're doing well. I am here today to do a little video with my friends Huge Miniatures on some snow basing, and I kind of wanted to go through before I start the tutorial kind of what products I'm going to be using in this one. I'm going to be using two different types of tufts. These ones are some irregular, very small, but they're frosty tufts. So they've got a little bit of white in there, a little bit of coldness to them already, which really helps when you're doing snow bases. The other one that I've got is frosty mini tufts, and these are more irregular sized ones that I can use around, same sort of coloring with the kind of whitey frost inside it, but really cool. The next product I've got is this snow. This is basically the equivalent of like powdery snow, and I'm going to be sprinkling this on, and it's a very fine powder type product that's really going to help give that kind of snow effect. Of course, one of my favorite products from Huge Miniatures is their texture paste. So I've got some of their white snow texture paste as well that we're going to use on the base itself. And then finally, I've got two more products that are really cool. Weathering powder, white weathering powder. This is going to help get into some of the really random areas and help with kind of just giving that final cold feel to the base. And then I've also got some of Huge Miniatures basing material, their urban rubble. I'm going to use some of these rocks on the base as well, just to kind of break it up a little bit and really kind of go from there. So I'm going to grab a 40mm base from Games Workshop. This is just a standard 40mm base, and the first thing I'm actually going to do, I'm going to put everything to the side, but the first thing I'm going to do is get some of the snow texture paste, and we're going to use some of this. All of the products from Huge Miniatures actually come sealed, which I absolutely love, to make sure that everything's super fresh and everything is in the best possible condition when it gets to you, sort of thing. So I'm going to scrape some of this off the seal because there's so much on there, and then I am going to just start dabbing this on the side. The best thing about this is you can go, as you may have seen in some of my other videos, you can go pretty deep with this paste. Okay, so I'm kind of going to build up some kind of like snow drifty type effect on this base, and then I'm going to scrape the rest of this off. Excellent. Okay, but I'm going to use it very thickly to kind of give that impression of really deep snow on here, because there's other tutorials, and I've done other tutorials on other products, but I wanted to kind of get this as thick as possible, just so that you can kind of get that real thick snow drift type base, and build it up, because as I said, I love it. I love the thickness of this paste and what you can kind of do with it. And so you can kind of see how thick that is on there. That's got to be about 5mm thick, or about maybe 1/4 of an inch thick. Super happy with that as it is on there at the moment. I'm going to leave that as it is, and I may well go back over it in a bit with some water, just some gentle clear water, but just to kind of smooth it off, because snow is very smooth, and you want to kind of get that effect on the snow itself, so that it kind of settles in nicely. With this snow here as it is at the moment, I'm actually going to get some of the rock, the urban basing rock, and I'm actually going to kind of put some of this strategically in some of this and just build up maybe a little rock patch or something. It's very cool to do this while the product is kind of settled, like this, and then we will kind of use this as a little blocker for this snow, and then I can go in with this and dust it and everything else. One thing I do like to do is grab a nice big old brush, and as I said, I'm going to kind of dab this with a little bit of water now, just to kind of start softening up that snow kind of feel. and dabbing it with a little bit of water will help with the kind of smoothness of it as well. It'll help just smooth any random edges, because as I said, snow doesn't have any random edges. It just has smoothness. So that's where I'm at the moment. I'm going to let that dry and settle by itself. I think that should be golden, and we'll come back and I'm going to do a little bit of detailing in here with some dirt or something like that, or some frosty kind of grass or something like that, and we'll come back and work on it once it's dry. So I'm going to give this probably about 3 or 4 hours to dry, because of the thickness that I put it on. Normally you can give it like an hour or two and it'll be done, but the thickness I'm doing this, I'm going to probably leave it at least for maybe 4 hours, just to solidify up, especially with the amount of water that I've given it as well, just to kind of soften up. So yeah, we'll see you back in about 4 hours. Okay, so we're back, and this is dry, hard as a rock, really nice texture on it. It's got a little bit of that fluffy kind of texture on it from the water that I laid on the top of it and just kind of dabbed it over. So I'm really happy with that. I'm going to put a little bit more texture down here underneath these rocks to kind of show a transition. So I'm just going to grab some Elmer's wood glue, and you can do this with PVA if you want, but I just quickly prefer a little bit of Elmer's wood glue on there, and all I'm going to do is just run this on here. Get a bit of water on that. Just run that in there, and I'm just going to dip it. You might have seen this in some of my other videos. Just some hobby sand, and just dip it in that, and I'm going to clean it up. And that's going to be my base texture underneath the sand, or underneath the snow, should I say. I'm just going to use my big brush just to get some of the little bits of stuff off there. Cool. Okay, so now that's on there, I'm now going to wait for this to dry. You could do this at the same time as the snow when I'm putting this on there. However, I have found that when you kind of do the sand on here, it kind of gets into the snow, and I like to keep my snow nice and kind of fresh. So I'm going to wait for this to dry now, and then we're going to crack on with using the next products on here, which I'll show you now while this is drying. So we're going to use the weathering powder and the snow scenery accent. So these two we're going to use next. I'm also probably going to do some dry brushing as well, just to get these rocks a little bit more white, and just a little bit of an edge off of them, so there's less of a stark contrast between the snow and the rocks. But yeah, we're going to wait for this to dry. We're probably going to color this as well, and then we'll crack on with it. So yeah, I'm going to wait for this to dry, and then I'll come back. Okay, so the base is dry now, the kind of sand texture that I used. All I'm going to do now is grab some dark neutral grey from Monument Hobbies, and you can use any kind of neutral grey that you've got, including Huge Minis have got a lovely neutral grey as well, like a medium kind of grey. All I'm going to do is just gently pop this on and water it down quite a lot, so it kind of soaks into the sand. I don't want it going everywhere, so I'm kind of quite controlling it on this model, but it's just going to colour all of that a nice dark kind of slaty colour. And if I want to, which is what I'm going to do now, I'm going to give the rocks, the Huge Minis rocks, a coat of the paint as well, just to kind of blend it in so that it all looks part of the same kind of thing. You don't have to be too neat here. It's nice to have a bit of variation in all the different colours, and the kind of black undercoat that the rocks naturally have. So we're going to kind of do that, and so you can kind of see on there that it's got that nice neutral grey. So that's all of our base, like base coats done. Now what we're really going to do is clean up the side of this base as well to start. But What we're going to do next is get a dry brush out. We're going to give all of the rocks a little bit of a dry brush to start picking out some of the detail on there and some of the little base texture on down here as well. And then we're going to grab the two last remaining products, which is the snow accent, which is the actual physical snow, and we're going to drop a little bit of that on top of the snow texture that we have there as well. And then we're also going to do a little bit of weathering powder to blow a little bit of white dust in there and have a look at that, and then pretty much finish it off. So I'm going to wait for this to dry, and then I'll come back and we'll get it finished. Okay, so we're all dry on that. What I'm actually going to do now is just gently get some white and put it on my texture dry brush palette with some of the grey here as well that we used on the original. And then what we're actually going to do is grab a dry brush and we're going to dry brush on here a lot of the texture, the snowy texture. I'm going to kind of just age it a little bit. So I'm just going to grab a medium height Opus brush, grab some of the white with a dab of that, and get kind of a near white. You kind of want a near white on this one, purely because what we're going to do is I want it to kind of go underneath, so there's a little bit of a difference between that and the snow textures that we're going to use. So that's still a little bit too grey for me, so I just want to like a real off-white as a texture. That's fine. Yeah, so you can kind of tell the difference between those two. That and that there is the fact that we've got an off-white here with just a little bit of blue, the kind of neutral blue or a dark neutral grey kind of gives that just a little bit of something about it. So I'm just going to get vast majority of it off on the textures on my dry brush palette, and then I'm just going to grab the base and drop it in some paint. That would be great. And then I'm going to gently flick over the top to start picking out these rocks. And don't worry if you kind of get it on the snow texture, because we're going to be getting some of that off anyways. But I just kind of want that on there to give that kind of like a chill effect on the rocks. So there we have it. There's the kind of texture on the rocks. That's the dry brushing, all of the dry brushing we're going to do. Now what I'm going to do is actually use some of the snow accent powder, just to kind of show you what that's all about. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use some anti-shine matte varnish in my airbrush, just so that I'm going to give this a little spray over the top so that there's something sticky for the snow to adhere to. You could use kind of super glue or something like that, but in all honesty, the matte varnish is the best thing. I'm just going to give it a little bit of targeted on the top of the rocks and a little bit on the floor, and then we're going to just put the airbrush to the side, grab the snow, and we're going to just give this a dip into the snow like so. And then I'm going to also give it a little sprinkle as well, because this is super fine. Make sure you cover all of that we got. Oh, this looks totally crazy at the moment because I've got it all on there. And I'm going to give it a quick like blow just to get some of that off, and you'll start to see that there's a little bit of that snow on the top of the base here, which is awesome. If I want to build up the layers of it, I'm going to get my airbrush again and give it another coat. And then I'm going to do exactly the same thing again. I'm just going to dab it on. Deep dive. It's like little snowballs. This texture is kind of cool. But it allows for all of these, like you can see my fingers, this really fine white fiber that's like snow fiber to kind of build up. And again, I'm going to try and knock off as much as I can. And then I'm going to give it another blow. So there we go. There we go. So you can kind of see that you can kind of start building up these textures on top of each other with this. And then what I'm kind of going to do is, you can kind of see there's still a little bit of a differentiation on this snow base between the rocks, the snow texture and everything else. I'm going to finish it off with some of the weathering powder, and the weathering powder I'm going to use exactly the same way again, but I'm going to just use it a little bit differently. Whereas I'm going to start shooting the matte varnish into the edges, and where I'm going to kind of and I need to clean my nozzle because we're blocked, so just bear with me a second. There we go. Okay, so we're just going to literally spray and I can get this on the snow itself, the big snow texture now as well. I'm going to give that, and then what I'm actually going to do is grab some of the weathering powder and I'm going to sprinkle some over the lid and get this completely everywhere. This looks like some Colombian marching dust, but it's something that we yeah, this is kind of interesting. But again, all I'm going to be doing is just smushing this in. I'm going to grab an old dry brush and just work this in on a lot of this snow and the spray, and then what we're going to do is blow this off and clean this up. It's a bit messy, as you can see, but it's well worthwhile. So so this is where it's come out not quite nice. And the good thing about it is, while it's still wet on the top of the varnish, you can kind of work it and get some of that dust off. When you're in a position where you've actually got it perfect and go, okay, do you know what, I really love that, that's looking superb, grab your matte varnish again and then seal it in, and that will seal all of that powder onto the base. So that for me is great, love it, really cool. To finish it off on my really stupidly dirty dry brush palette, now I've got the last two bits, which are the tufts that we're going to do. So we've got the three different sizes, so I'm going to grab a few of these tufts. 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to grab a few of the other tufts as well, the more regular size ones, and we're going to go 1, 2, and then we're going to put these on. And all I'm really going to do is just grab some super glue. I prefer the gel control Loctite, and I'm going to just dab some on here on the side. So we're going to do it kind of like around the base here, and I'm going to put it around the base, around the rocks. I'm going to have them kind of protected by everything around it, and just going to grab these, stick them in there like the little crevice there, and we're going to grab some of the larger ones, stick that in their little crevice as well. We may have overcooked it a little bit with as many tufts as we did, but I super love these tufts because they've got just that little bit of white on them. And then I'm probably, do you know what, yeah, I'm probably going to stick one there. I may have overcooked it a little bit, but we're good with that. It's just got that kind of that vibe on. In fact, I think that's, yeah, we're gonna maybe grab one of these. No, I think I think we're good. I'm going to probably grab a little bit more of the weathering powder and stick that in there as well. I don't want to overcook it. So there we go. That's my winter base using Huge Miniatures products. I'll take some more photos of this and post this onto my Instagram as well. But you'll see with a kind of miniature on the top of it, this one's already on another base, but it's brilliant contrast on these bases for, you know, standard grimdark models to be running across. You can also as well kind of shoot blood effects over the top, so blood for the blood god looks really good on this as well, kind of on the white as well. The contrast is really good. But yeah, this is my winter base using Huge Minis. All I've got to do really now to finish this base off is give it a nice black rim, and yeah, we're good. So thanks ever so much for watching, appreciate it. Thanks ever so much also to Huge Minis for sending me the stuff over to do a base with. Appreciate them, appreciate everybody else for watching the video. If you please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys again. Cheers.